You have a girlfriend?
Oh, hello, hello. Namaste, namaste, precious, precious souls. Welcome to Book of Life for the first reading in March. Wow, this is a really good one. I really like this one. Fourth degree, lesson 8, the heirs of heaven. So let us invoke and then we'll get started. Go ahead and just place the tip of the tongue on the palate. Just be receptive. You can close your eyes if you want, just relax. To the Cosmologos, the great architect of the universe, Heavenly Father, Heavenly Mother, to all the great ones, all our spiritual teachers, the Holy Master Choa, to Buddha Padmasambhava, the Circle of Seven, Robert and Erlyn Cheney, to Burton Bigelow, Master Astalea, Lord Kutumi, Lord Rama, Lord Zoser, to the Astarian hierarchy, to the Lord Rabbi Yehoshua Bar Miriam, the Lord Christ, to the Holy Mother Mary, Lord Kuan Yin Buddha, Lord Gautama Buddha, Sanat Kumara, the Ancient of Days, the Solar Logos, Lord Amen Ra, the Universal Logos. We humbly invoke for your divine blessings. May we be a channel through which thy holy ones approach the world. May we be a center for the radiation of thy power. Teach us to travel light that we may better gain the heights, break the bonds that bind. Teach us to give ourselves entirely to thy service, to attune ourselves to thy will. Teach us to lay down the small personal life for the greater cosmic life and to love with the love of God. In full faith. Om Tat Sat Om. Just mentally affirm, I am one with the great consciousness, which is God. We release all unauthorized connections. Cut, 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 cut. All right. Everybody ready to have some fun? Good. All right. So, the heirs of heaven, fourth degree, lesson 8. The busyness of heaven. Tell us, we suggested to Burton, not so much in generalities concerning occupations, but more particulars and details of chosen vocations and avocations. And Burton replied, the places of instruction offer training in the arts and sciences through the equivalent of Earth's colleges and universities. The same subjects are taught, plus many of more mystical and spiritual nature. An example is the Hall of Fabrics. The Hall of Fabrics. This spacious building houses room after room of the most exquisite materials, resembling woven or knitted cloth, made by weaving or knitting fibers, tissues, tweeds, silks, woolens, frieze, gossamer. Here are found specimens, patterns, and colors of indescribable beauty. Materials are here that are not known on earth, delicate shades, sheer substances, heavier satins, intricate embroidery, needlepoint, resplendent tapestries. Much is used when festive pageants and ceremonies celebrate the visit of some angelic sojourner. None is used for the clothing of individuals, since they learn to fabricate their own designs through thought processes. These magnificent fabrics decorate the halls, are used for carpeting, walls, chairs, draperies, spreads, floats, and displays for parades and festivals. They have innumerable uses and an endless array of textures and colors. Does education end at the conclusion of earth life? This great hall is busy with happy, enthusiastic students learning the art of weaving, of designing, of decorating, color schemes, artistic blending, and so on. None are hired, none are there because they must be. All are there because they are fascinated with such artistry. There is nothing tedious as in a usual school. It is performed for the pleasure of seeing an object of beauty take shape. There is joy, too, in giving joy to others. It would be ludicrous were it not such a sad fact that when a loved one dies, those remaining on earth think of that person as no longer able to experience that which is joyous, deprived of all the beauty life has to give. People on earth imagine the lost one to have lost all opportunity to express intelligence, talents, hopes, that all further growth is crystallized beyond further expansion. The happy truth is that they have passed from a basement in the divine parent's house and now dwell in the penthouse. They have departed that which is drab, gray, shadowy, to dwell among the sparkling atmospheres of color and incomparable beauty, not the least of which is found in this hall of fabrics. Etheria is the true land of equal opportunities. Here is offered a world so vast, no soul need be denied progression in whatever talent the pilgrim chooses to perfect, no matter what work one selects to pursue. No one is compelled to undertake any task whatever. The wish to serve, the intense desire to work, to learn, are the keynotes of motivation. Many industries and business establishments common to earth are not found here. And nevertheless, the talents previously developed through these more material enterprises are utilized here to their fullest. It would seem, for instance, that the ability to perform as an accountant would be utterly useless in Etheria, there being no monies to be debited and credited. Not so. Colleges, based upon teachings of the Crotona school of Pythagoras, offer numerous studies from fundamental mathematics to solving the mystery of the Pythagorean scheme. Students are taught why certain numbers acquire certain symbolism to the point of becoming revered. The number 7 is given the mythical name of Athena, the cube that of Poseidon. The student who masters the philosophy of numbers in mathematics is conqueror of the elements. Indeed, there is much for the mathematical mind to discover in the pursuit of happiness and universal harmony. Is heaven a practical place? Well, what of the farmer whose life and welfare centered around the success of creating crops? This person's happiness could follow the study of the soil of Summerland and its comparison to that of Earth. Schooling would include field trips to various communities, islands, colonies of Etheria, particularly of Australia and Summerland, where the inhabitants are still keenly interested in perfecting agricultural methods on Earth. This former farmer would study the growth of plants, the plants the Earth has never known. When the great George Washington Carver prayed for a revelation from his God, he chose the peanut as his point of research. Centering his attention thereon, he carried the peanut into his laboratory, dissected it until he gained complete knowledge of its chemistry. One of its chemical elements, he created 300 new products, which people use today. Following such research also, with the sweet potato, he created many new products and vegetable dyes, countless medicines and paints. Perhaps it was one of the master farmers of Etheria who inspired his research. How will farmers find happiness in Summerland? The ways are too many to count. True, they ultimately combine farming with the science of plant growth, but then so does the farmer of Earth, ultimately. In addition, they learn the power of thoughts, of love, on plant life. What of the mason, the carpenter, the bricklayers? As on Earth, they become a part of a team creating buildings. They learn first how to create building blocks, lumber, materials, without having to destroy trees or other resources. When is the mental creation process, or what is the mental creation process? From the crude beginning of mixing the substance of Etheria as people on Earth mix cement, they learn how to create mentally. They see a board, a stone, a building block, so vividly a thought form is created. Vaporous at first and perhaps misshapen, but practice of visualization of small objects builds brain power to solidify the vaporous beginnings. From solidifying tenuous substance, they move toward thinking a wall into being, just creating a thought form of a wall, a plain, unadorned wall. Remember, their task is made easier by the fact that their minds, now liberated from brain cell limitations, are more powerfully focused upon purposes. Also, the substance of the mental realm of Etheria is more plastic, its nature subject to mind control. It isn't so difficult to think a board, a stone, a brick, even a wall into being. The challenge is to make it perfect. Nor will a student proceed until early challenges are met. But conquering such challenges is most rewarding. That is, to one who is a builder. You slowly learn how to take your place on a team of builders. There is needed first those over you, the master builder who creates the design, the blueprint or image to be copied, whether it be a brick or a mansion. All that is required of a beginner is that you focus your mind power upon a board until it becomes perfect. As you become proficient, you join the architect and the master builder in visualizing walls, roofs, entire buildings, according to the artist's concept of how the new structure should look. What begins as manual labor on Earth eventually becomes extremely important mental work in Etheria. Many industries are dispensed with entirely. For instance, the enormous commerce involved in food. Homes have discarded all the paraphernalia of kitchens, cooking pots, pans, stoves, refrigerators. Exceptions to this, of course, are found in the homes of souls who love to cook and who find their own sense of harmony and spirituality through this creative process. Industries engaged in food production do not exist, for you can go out to eat, but you need simply to mentally create your own perfect meal. Clothes for personal use are product produced by thought process, so subtle that even wise ones from high places frequently do not understand just how it is accomplished, the technicalities involved. Clothes, rather, seem to become almost a part of one's self in that changes of moods alter colors and frequently the texture of the fabric. Thus, thoughts are so intricately involved, it is often beyond analyzing. There is no need for a transportation industry. The individual travels either aerially or walks. No one seems to ever be in a hurry since there are no planes, trains, or buses to catch or to meet. If a mission requires speed, one flies. If not, one walks. There are no shops. There is no need for commerce as we knew it on Earth. Many professions vanish, such as beauticians, morticians, lawyers, politicians. There are priests and ministers continuing their profession until they can set aside their earthly prejudices and beliefs. Then they may become excellent counselors and comforters for newcomers who grieve over separation from loved ones of Earth. Or they become guides about the new land, explaining the misconceptions of theology and clarifying truths withheld, which are required as foundational knowledge upon which they advance in understanding. There are universities of the fine arts which include magnificent displays. For instance, the enormous Museum of Paintings. In this spacious exhibit are facsimiles of all the masterpieces Earth has ever known, and a great many never seen there. The fascinating display includes art from the ages when humankind first began cave paintings, hieroglyphics, symbolism, and depicts progress through the language of art to the present time. Nor is the display simply for the pleasure of viewing, but so the perceptive may read the story of humankind as told through paintings. Teachers are there and students pursuing the practice of painting. Masters lecture concerning the chemistry and quality of light and shadow. Many reveal their techniques in achieving incomparable masterpieces. Painting in Etheria is not with brush on canvas as on earth, unless one so wishes. One paints by projecting colored threads from mind substance, then with the power of imagination, weaving them into a pattern, a landscape, a face, a flower, a fruit, a tree, an ocean. The mind must certainly attain precise concentration, else the painting becomes a scrawl. It cannot flit from color to color, nor from thread to thread, as a butterfly among flowers. It must mold and shape the threads by sheer willpower. Painting is concentrated thinking. One must dip mental threads into all combinations of colors. One must also refresh the remembrance of earth life. For instance, should one desire to paint a portrait of someone still on earth, one must constantly hold an image of that face in the consciousness. Mastering the art of painting offers a supreme mental challenge. Thought substance can become solidified. Art thus becomes mental precipitation of a scene, a face, upon a canvas without using brush or paint. To achieve such an astonishing feat, one must learn how to condense ethers mentally, concentrate upon colors, lights, shadows, and hold the vision until it can become indelibly impressed upon the canvas. Is effort ever lost? Such extraordinary skill is rarely attained to the full degree. A few master minds eventually achieve satisfactory results, but many enjoy happy hours struggling with the challenge. Though few gain complete mastership, nevertheless, one's powers of concentration and visualization are certainly enhanced, and such gifts are never lost. Earth's duplicated masterpieces took form when the artist concentrated on the vision he or she was creating and transferring onto the earth canvas. Becoming first a thought form in the ethers, they assumed solidarity as the work progressed. Any object created by concentrated thought power on earth has its more perfect duplicate in Etheria. The same is true of statuary. The carved forms and scenery seem to contain a mysterious measure of life force. There is an unmistakable quality of aliveness about them. Eyes, for example, actually seem to reflect intelligence, and one would believe the figures actually breathe. Colleges of literature are immense. In them are displayed the first literary efforts of early humankind. Since time cannot demolish these records, they are there for all to enjoy, to study. In the vast library, one finds every book of importance ever written, just as the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. in the United States attempts to preserve copyrighted writings and special documents on earth. Historical records here reveal much more than those on earth. One may read the entire history of the planet, depicted in pictorial review. There can be no question as to whether this or that happened, because these records depict faithfully the Akashic records as the planet and human beings wrote them on the higher causal ethers. A student pursuing any historical event finds it faithfully and accurately recorded in the Hall of History, from the birth of the planet until the present. All is there, not only of political history, but the history of religion and its impact upon humankind, our culture, and our civilization. Here, too, is the history of philosophy, the struggle the great thinkers of all ages endured to bring light to earth. The complete story of the mystery schools is here, recounting how their revelations have kept pace with humankind's soul development on earth. The history of psychic science is here, beginning with the early days of human first faint perceptions of worlds and beings outside the physical domain. Unnumbered books are here that have not yet arrived on earth. Perhaps the truths therein await the finding of the proper amanuensis on earth. How are books written in Etheria? Not too differently than on earth, though the process is more sophisticated. Since a book is usually the product of only one mind, and since writing requires perpetual thinking, precipitation is not practical. Equipment is used by the author which people on earth would only recognize if we call it a voice machine. The author speaks his or her thoughts into the machine, which translates the voice sounds into written words. Illustrations, often used, are precipitated or actually drawn by the artist working with the writer. The finished manuscript is bound not too differently than on earth, except the method employed ensures the perpetuity of the book. Never can it grow old, yellow, or break apart. It is forever truth. Truth is forever. Since the author has truth all around, there cannot be the glaring errors in teaching made by so many people on earth. Often those in the high spheres write of life there, especially for those of the lowlands and midlands of Australia. And such books play an enormous role in convincing spiritual strugglers to turn from half-truths and seek the light. On the other hand, many of the upper planes learn to read books through mental perception. To hold a book is to partake of knowledge. It contains without laboring with the page-by-page printed word. Such an ability is not easily attained. It requires much psychic training. And one of the most important schools here concerns itself with the psychic unfoldment of the individual. This school is by far the most important of all the halls of learning, where a certain few desire to learn to paint, and another few to sculpt, and others to design fabrics and decorate. All seem absolutely fascinated with unfolding the psychic senses. We are now speaking of Summerland, remember, where the inhabitants have outgrown notions of psychic phenomena being the devil's own work, and where it is understood as the operation of the development of divine souls' faculties. All spend many hours training already sharpened senses to perceive visions of scenes and happenings beyond us. Thus, these facilities are among the largest of the universities. Here, the gatherings are the fun times of the many. We pursue a knowledge of magic as it actually operates, not on earth, is persuaded. We couple much learning with astrology, astronomy, psychometry, clairvoyance, clairaudience, meditation, breath control. It may seem we would have unfolded such perception as a natural evolution in Summerland, but this is not true. Many Astarians, for instance, will find their future abode to be in Summerland, and upon awakening, will find their mental faculties more lucid. But this by no means endows them with the attributes of unfolded soul senses, not unless they accomplished some measure of this type of unfoldment while on earth. In this University of Psychic Science, even the lowly crystal ball is put to use. So is palm reading, though those who so engage are instructed in the true art of reading the map of the individual's destiny. Astrological chart making is perfected, and the art of meditation also. Many are instructed in the art of prophecy, looking into the future, relating its happenings to the present, and thus arriving at a clearer understanding of even their own coming destiny. Here, unnumbered seekers learn of rebirth as it should be taught. Many discover that ultimately they will return to a mortal life on earth or on some similar planet, and why. Many will not need to return except as they choose to do so. Many, too, choose to become guides to loved ones whose destiny will bring them earthward again, and therefore their training as guides is of paramount importance. Thus, the enterprise undertaken in this university is more pure enjoyment than studious learning. Though psychic proficiency becomes an important goal in the lives of those just mentioned, how is the creative impulse transmitted to earth? Creative achievements on earth. It isn't far afield to declare that most forms of creative and beautiful thought on earth have been inspired by some spirit artist, musician, poet, or writer. Waves of thought proceed constantly to receptive minds on earth. Many people have no idea that frequently their creative achievements, thus inspired, are not entirely their own. No doubt they would resent a suggestion of invisible helpers. Nevertheless, we in Etheria often co-create with people on earth this art, literature, and poetry, inventions which benefit humanity. Many a creative artist of earth remembers the picture that was painted in a state of spiritual ecstasy, the paintings of which could not be truly explained. Often an artist experiences inspiration under which he or she labors and can neither eat nor sleep till the flow of inspiration ceases. To the degree that an artist's own spirit is able to rise consciously or unconsciously into close contact with higher beings of Etheria, spirit-inspired masterpieces can be achieved on earth. In other instances, the divine essence of knowledge filters down to the artist through layers of thought force and is received according to the artist's mental receptive capability. Creative force may express in different forms: music, poetry, writing, painting, and dancing. All inspiration flows through silent waves of thought. The more receptive and spiritually developed a person, the more apt he or she is to tune in to the downflowing inspiration. Certainly, it is not that people are simply automatons. You are creators within your own right. You may open your powers of reception, or you may close the door to the downflowing inspiration, according to your own choice. You are always a free agent in such matters. You may receive inspiration, if you care to do so, but one is never coerced into accepting it, nor is it always the case that people receive everything by inspiration. There is considerable original thinking accomplished in all planes, in accordance with the law, which decrees that each individual has freedom to become that which one thinks and wills. But again, who can discern the source of these original thoughts? Few of the renowned thoughts expressed in literature were executed by human beings alone. They were almost all the result of their attunement, unknown to themselves, with their own higher natures or the guardian angel who overshadowed each of these receptive thinkers, who brought revelations to his or her generation. Human beings and their guardian teachers are always joined by connecting cords of the finest, most tenuous electricity. Ideas, sometimes expressed in words, sometimes pictorially in symbols or visions, and sometimes simply as a thought unit, speed along these lines of intercommunication between the physical and spiritual domains. No such radiating lines of force emanate around millions of uninspired souls. Their auras are dull and dead-looking simply because they never lift their minds into creative activity, preferring to dwell upon matter and its satisfactions. Inspirational guides. Astarians in Etheria are often trained to protect Astarians on earth from danger, to impress upon their consciousness that their spiritual development may be affected if they pursue some particular course of action. As the astral Astarian progresses in such training, he or she attains a wider sphere of usefulness. Continuing to assist individuals, one also learns how to impress Earth's teachers, even how to help guide the destiny of nations and cultures. As one becomes increasingly adept, one is taught how to wield the greater forces of Akasha and the astral light. Akasha, the impersonal astral light, a celestial ether which fills all space, the heavenly substance which holds and perpetuates the records of all manifestations. One is taught how to make the utmost possible use of favorable astrological influences in the lives of Earth Astarians. Eventually, rising higher and higher, one graduates into adeptship and becomes a teacher in one's own right. One may become directly involved as an assistant in all phases of the master's work, sometimes substituting for the master him or herself as an important aid. You may be called upon to deliver a lecture to beginners, to preside at discussions, or to answer the questions of a group of seekers. An Astarian who acquires spiritual or psychic powers may assist in the training and development of other Astarians desiring such unfoldment. The principal task of others will be to serve the master so that one may be increasingly asked to do more difficult and more challenging work. Another may be asked to help compile records for the great library kept by the Astarian family. This training may also involve knowledge of the evolution of the lower kingdoms, a study of the chemistry of matter, and the effect of spiritual forces upon the solids, liquids, gases of Earth's atmosphere, and the influence of the spiritual ethers on the elements and on humankind. It must be remembered that in Astral Astara, instruction is given and received in a much more rapid and perfect manner than is your training on Earth. Remember, too, that the memory is retentive. Thus, once the knowledge is gained in Etheria, it is retained. How is the healing work conducted in Astral Astara? The Healing Temple. Zoser, as you know, is in charge of the healing work at Astral Astara, including in this healing shrine is the Hall of Images, containing images of every Earth Astarian. These images, through some mysterious plastic and fluidic process, reflect the status of Astarians on Earth, whether sad, glad, well or ill, worried or at peace. There is an etheric connection between the Astarian on Earth and his or her image in the Hall of Images. It is through the fluctuating changes in the images that Zoser and his aides are able to discern and record the progress of every Astarian on Earth. Such tasks necessitate also a vast hall of records and a center of communication receiving the uprising thoughts and prayers of Earth Astarians. Received here are the thoughts and prayers directed to Zoser in pleas for healing aid. When these communications are received, help is directed instantaneously. A facsimile of every healing petition sent to Earth Astara is reproduced in this hall of records at Astral Astara. Thus, everyone petitioning for help is heard. In this work, all three of the Chanies are deeply involved during their hours of sleep. During their waking hours, aware of it or not, their forms are used as channels through which the healing forces flow outward to Astarians all over the earth, but more especially when they work directly with the healing petitions. Thus, the healing petitions are given constant attention by those on Earth and by Zoser and his aides in Astral Astara. No petition ever goes unheeded, regardless of healing results. First, exert thyself to the utmost, then only helpers are permitted. Hermes. Astral Astarians are taught how to help Earth Astarians in need of consolation. Those suffering from grief and sorrow are in need of a very specialized kind of healing force, and many Astral Astarians feel called to such a service. When you, an Earth Astarian, are spending much anxious thought upon some spiritual or material problem, it is often possible to impress the solution upon your consciousness without your being in the least aware that someone in Astral Astara has come to your aid. An entire section of Astral Astara is devoted to answering the prayers of Earth Astarians. Astral Astarians consider it the highest privilege to be channels through which energy is poured to help their Astarian brothers and sisters on Earth. This service is highly specialized, and not all Astarians are qualified to perform it. Astarians may find special missions to perform since they are accustomed to such services during the hours of their own physical sleep on Earth. This holds true not only of Astarians, but any soul inclined toward mysticism who has deliberately cultivated a program of spiritual growth and self-realization. It will not suffice for you to live superficially any more than such living satisfied you on Earth. Your happiness will depend upon eternal seeking, and toward this end, you will devote yourself to studies not usually sought by the masses. One thinks of the great artists whose lives have blessed the earth, who have created immortal beauty to inspire all humanity. If their work beautified earth, what may they not have added to heaven? What indeed may heaven in turn have done to their genius? Perhaps you can imagine Raphael, Fra Angelico, Phidias, Michelangelo, continuing to produce their incomparable handiwork, leaving heaven more blessed. And the great architects who built Thebes of Egypt, Jerusalem, Athens, Rome, Babylon, are they not continuing to create incomparable sights on the higher planes? And what of the creators of music, Handel, Mozart, Beethoven, Bach, Liszt? What makes heaven heaven? It is the presence of such as these that makes heaven heaven. Music, painting, sculpture, architecture, all the masters have not only continued to produce, but have in turn inspired many people on earth to follow after them until they too attain mastery. The same is true of more simple creators. Many a simple tender of plants on earth has unfolded genius in the higher planes, producing gardens of a beauty incomparable. For those who love creating their art on earth, heaven's compensation is to be found in the realization of their creative vision. But the work is done through the love of the work and art, not to earn the livelihood. The creative forces born within the heart are all that is necessary to prompt the mainspring of their activity. Tables of adjustment, or temples of adjustment. Describe some of the buildings that house the training activities, we asked Burton. And Burton answered, there are vast temples which span the spaces where any two spheres blend, the astral and Summerlin, for instance. Such a temple partakes of the essences of both spheres, but is not dominated by either. These are training temples. They house pilgrims who have completed instruction on, say, the highlands of Australia and are nearly ready to ascend into the more brilliant light of Summerlin. As pilgrims pause in these training temples, their spiritual attributes are refined and strengthened. They are informed of life in the new world ahead. They are familiarized with the natural laws and schooled in the etheric blendings and creative potentials. Some rest only briefly. Others remain for lengthy periods, depending upon their aptitude for service. Some go on excursions into Summerlin, returning frequently to gather strength until, remaining each time longer, they are able to bear the iridescence of the new light. They return no more to the temple then, but proceed to the new abode awaiting them. These temples also act as havens for great angels journeying from Summerlin to perform their mission on the lowlands or midlands, and as a place of rest and rehabilitation on return journeys. There are remaining weariness, any darkening shadows reflecting their stay in inferior regions is banished. They emerge once again purified, yet enhanced because of the service rendered in lower planes. Viewed from a distance, these temples resemble a city with innumerable towers and domes, trees, parklands, lakes, and an inevitable light gleaming in the heart of it. As an outspreading beacon, each dome, each tower seems to sparkle with gems, radiant according to its location among the spheres. Over all hang mists of sweet aroma and breezes filled with music whispers. Peace rides upon the very air. The Hall of Records. Activities of an entire realm or city surge and flow about the records center. Within its gigantic compound are various halls, each fulfilling work related to the others. Here, many who were secretaries and executives find their niche of employment, maintaining vast records and transmitting messages to higher and lower spheres. These halls contain every person's life record, not only of one's immediate past life, but all the preceding lives. When any soul is due to depart earth, messages are dispatched from the Hall of Records to loved ones or guides in Etheria who should be on hand to welcome the pilgrim, the hub of communication. When a great one is coming from other spheres, word is dispatched to those in charge of preparing for his or her lecture or blessing. The entire community is given notice of the approaching event. This is an indispensable center of intercommunication. From here flashes news of happenings in other spheres, on Earth, for example. Many who have no means of communicating with people on Earth may learn that on Earth another war has broken out, that a certain politician has been elected president, that the king of some land will soon become a resident of Etheria, that some remarkable new scientific discovery or medical achievement has occurred. New buildings. When a new building is desired, the first one to be consulted is the ruler or governor or supervisor of the realm. Call him or her what you will. They know more intimately the needs and wishes of those within their realm. Thus, they are better acquainted with the needs and services required in the new structure. When a massive new temple, library, or public building is planned, it is a matter of great interest to all in the realm, and a sight to be joyously witnessed in every realm, or, as I have already labeled it, county. There is a principal architect under whose supervision other architects are trained and who directs their services. This architect is the next one consulted, and it is this one who makes the building design in consultation with innumerable other architects and master masons. Most such architects and builders are but following the work they did on Earth, exercising their increased skills to create unbelievably beautiful structures. Building in Etheria differs considerably from the labor the builders performed on Earth. In Etheria, it becomes a creative performance, whereas on Earth, it often was mostly simply manual labor. In the construction of these marvelous structures, neither lighting nor heat is necessary. Buildings frequently have no roofs. Some seem to be covered by tinted clouds, transparent to descending shafts of dazzling light. What teaching methods are employed in Astral Astara? University for self-fulfillment. I can best describe the center which is found in the city of Astral Astara. There is a lecture hall where we meet to be instructed by a master of the inner wisdom. In another building is the most magnificent of libraries, containing reproductions of all the spiritual, occult, psychic, metaphysical books ever written on Earth or in Etheria. The teacher selects books to be studied by a group of pupils. They are instructed to study the books so that they may be discussed among the group later. Any questions arising will be propounded and answered by the teachers in charge of the group meetings. The most unique charts further the comprehension of the pupils. Charts is an inappropriate word, since these illustrations unroll much like a motion picture, except that the pupils find themselves surrounded by the moving scenery. The pictures seem to be living depictions of the subjects being taught. Thus, if the teacher is instructing concerning the history of the world's development up to the present time, the scenes that flow by seem to be inhabited by actual living beings. I am unable to explain this more than three-dimensional process. It must be seen to be believed. Suffice to say, the story of the planet's formation, the coming of humankind upon it, and the story of human evolution pass in vivid motion, pictures with the prototypes of characters seemingly alive. In addition to this group work, instruction is given to each Astarian pupil separately. That is, instruction which concerns one's own personal soul progression. Each pilgrim is directed toward constant practice in mind development, meditation, and service, as they apply to the pilgrim's own particular soul progression. In these personal interviews, frequent corrections are made, questions answered, and the Astarian helped with any problems. Through these group lectures, the personal instruction, each pilgrim learns how better to find happiness in his or her new life, how to direct energies toward the best possible progression, how to discriminate between different rays, how to read the Akashic records accurately, how to understand the various forces and life energies. The purpose behind it all is to contribute to the process of evolution. The Astarian is taught how to render services both to the living and the dead. I should say the resurrected. Many are instructed in the healing halls from which healing rays are directed to Astarians of Earth. Many astral Astarians become involved in this service, remembering how they once received healing help when they were in the need of it on Earth. Inner world Astarian teachings. Each Astara on the inner planes is a city within itself, that is, astral Astara on up through Astara on the causal plane. Each city contains universities and lecture halls where Astarians meet to be instructed by master teachers. These lectures run the gamut of subject matter to instruct the Astarian on every phase of his or her life in Etheria. Nor are they the dull affairs frequently experienced on Earth. They are happy gatherings where not only learning is shared, fun and fellowship, particularly in Astral Astara. Nor is everyone constantly occupied in labor. Groups of people are always interspersed about the countryside. Some are idly enjoying relaxation in some shady grove, others leisurely strolling about, some in groups reposing on the grasses, chatting amiably. Some are escorting new arrivals about, acquainting them with their new abode. There eventually comes to all, however, the compelling desire to fulfill some active service. And that was powerful. Well, I would like to do a little experiment, since we do know that Zoser is in charge of the healing, as was mentioned. So I want you to think about maybe an area, like what Greg does when we're doing the meditations. Think of an area that you want to surrender to Zoser or to the Astarian hierarchy, whether it be mental, whether it be emotional, whether it be etheric or physical. Okay. So just go ahead and give it a little thought and just be aware of the heart. Just keep breathing nice and slow. Inhalation. When you inhale, just mentally affirm Ling. And as you exhale, ah. Inhale slowly, Ling. Exhale, ah. Keep your awareness on your heart and on the breath. Lord Zoser, Lord Zoser, Lord Zoser. Supreme One of all life. Let there come into each of us who are seeking light a portion of thy substance. In order that we may make use of it in bringing strength and vitality to the physical self. And peace and stillness to the emotional and mental selves. Let your presence be active within us. This we ask and acknowledge in thy name, Lord, so in the supreme one of all life. So mote it be. Please bring your awareness up to the crown, actually to the mental permanent seed first, the pineal gland. Continue with the inhale of Ling and the exhale, Ha. Nice and slow to the Astarian hierarchy and to those that we have invoked to as a center of divine life, localized at a point in time and space. Let the greater life flow through us into the world of persons, things, and situations around us. Come unto us, life that is greater than my life, and through me, make a new world, a world infused with the essence of the infinite, a world endowed with the substance of spirit. I do not ask for the easy way, but I do seek the eternal way. I do not ask for freedom from responsibility, but I do seek the wisdom and the maturity that will make my responsibilities a pathway to fulfillment and growth. May the symphony of the spheres sound harmoniously in your lives. May the echoes of the higher life strike a responsive chord in all your efforts so that you become a harmonious instrument for the spirit within. May heaven and earth blend in you and all you do. Tatso, tatso, tatso. Namaste, precious, precious souls. I'm going to let you enjoy this bliss. Continue on with your mornings, days, evenings, and we will see you tomorrow for blessing the prayer petitions. Thank you so much for attending and for joining us. Namaste. Be very well.